Good evening, everyone. So today I can see here only very few number of participants. Maybe we'll wait little bit. So before that, let's welcome you all again in this fourth day of this FDB session. Now let's introduce our today's eminent speaker, Dr. Rakesh Rai. Dr. Rakesh Rai received bachelor degree in physics from MBB College, that is Maharaj Bir Vikram College, in 2004, and master degree in physics from Tripura University in 2006. He received philosophy of doctorate from Tripura University in the year 2013. Formerly, he was an ex-assistant professor in National Institute of Technology, Agartala, in the Department of Physics. He is now working as assistant controller of examination in Maharaj Bir Vikram University from 2017. Dr. Roy has a lot of administrative experience, working as assistant registrar in MBB University from May 2018, working as nodal officer of PG portal in Maharaj Bir Vikram University from April 2018, working as nodal officer of NAD depository services in Maharaj Bir Vikram University from January 2018, working as liaison officer of reservation of SC/ST minorities in Maharaj Bir Vikram University from January 2019, working as authorized person of Russia related works in Maharaj Bir Vikram University from June 2018, working as coordinator of SWAM related works of MBB University from March 2019. Dr. Roy's research interest mainly lies on characterization of lower ionospheric parameters from VLF and LF man-made transmitted signal, characterization of different properties of cloud with the help of atmospheric electricity and VLF measurement, perturbation at atmosphere, ionosphere aspherics, and VLF signal due to earthquake, AC and DC global electric circuit and its related parameters, worldwide thunderstorm activity, lightning activity, and its characteristics, swarm resonance phenomena. He received many awards in his academic journey and published more than 24 articles in different national and international journals and books. So I'm requesting Dr. Rai to conduct this session of the FDP, and his topic is Features of National Education Policy 2020 and necessity of reforms in traditional examination system. So Dr. Rai, please, you take this platform and start your session.
Thank you, Dr. Shekhar Chakraborty. So let me share my screen.
Okay, just wait. Let me make you the co-host. 1 second. Sorry. 1 second, please. Okay, now you can continue.
Is it okay, Dr. Shekhar?
Yes, it's okay. It's visible, perfectly visible.
My PPT is visible too?
Yes, exactly.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think some candidates already been joined, and hope that more candidates will join after certain amount of time. So at the very beginning, first of all, thank you very much, Dr. Shekhar Chakraborty, so providing me this opportunity to share my views in this FDB program. Namaskar, my esteemed faculty members. A warm good evening to everyone present here. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Rakesh Roy, Assistant Controller of Examinations from Maharaja Bir Vikram University. This is the only state university under the government of Tripura, having 3 affiliated colleges, namely Maharaja Bir Vikram College, Bir Vikram Memorial College, Tripura Government Law College. Let me allow beginning my presentation with the basic concept before exploring the vast ambit of this FDP program regarding the examination reforms. Just to set the tune, let us talk about what is education. When we are talking about the education alongside with the knowledge, information, and the wisdom are coming in our mind. About education, there are many more definitions, but I picked up a simple one definition of the education. Education basically is a process of the learning in a systematic manner from a formal institution such as schools, colleges, or universities. It is a formal process. There are defined set of rules, regulations, and the curriculum to acquire the education. It helps an individual to realize his talent, weakness, and to increase his self-potential. Education is more specific and defined than knowledge. The ultimate aim of the education is to acquire knowledge. As Swami Vivekananda said, education is the manifestation of the perfection already present in men. Now, the question arises that what is then examination? So the word, when we heard about the word examination, basically, we must have some fear psychosis when I heard this word examination. So education basically is a continuous process of acquiring knowledge, and considering that examination is a vital as well as integral part of this process to assess what knowledge we are learning, how we are learning, and in what ways we are implying such learning and what we are achieving ultimately. Ladies and gentlemen, our education system in that respect is still having the features what colonial educators inbuilt. Education is not always about becoming a big, rich person. It should be about humanism. Students must also be taught in depth what the morals of life and inculcate with humanistic values. They should be taught that life is more beyond money and success is not measured in money. If the Indian education system starts talking these points into serious consideration, we can attain the level of the best education system in the world. It is high that we as a country start talking about education, about the medical level that we have been ingrained with the perceived education from the holistic approach. The quality of the education cannot be improved till the teacher taught ratio is reduced to manageable proportions. Reforming examinations alone will attain very little unless it is accompanied by other basic reforms like improvement of teaching training, teacher quality, and teacher-student ratio. Now, in this slide, basically, I am discussing some different aspects of the National Education Policy 2020. I think different perspective of the NAP 2020 already been discussed by fellow panelists in this workshop. So I am not going in detail of the NAP 2020, but only discuss few elements of NAP 2020. The vision of National Education Policy 2020 is to provide vibrant education society and providing the scope of higher quality of the education to all irrespective of caste. Another very important vision is that develops a deep sense of respect towards the fundamental rights, duties, and constitutional values, bonding with one's country, and a conscious awareness of one's role and responsibilities in a changing world. Instills skills, values, and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development, and living and global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. Now, what are the key principles of the NAP 2020. So these are the basically key principle of the NAP 2020. The respect of the diversity and the local context, it is very important for us to understand the society around us. The next is equity and inclusion, community participation, use of technology. As we all know that during the COVID-19 pandemic situation, we faces a lot of difficulties in conducting classes, exams because of the sufficient infrastructure, IT level infrastructure. Emphasize the conceptual understanding, unique capabilities, critical thinking, and the creativity and continuous review. Now, if we compare with the basic difference between the existing academic structure and the new academic structure in the NAP 2020, in the school level up to the age of 18 years, we found that in the new curricular structure of school education divided into 4 levels. The first level is the secondary stage, middle age, preparatory stage, and fundamental stage. Secondary stage is of 4 years, middle stage of 3 years, preparatory stage of the 3 years, and the foundational stage of the 5 years. Now, what are the basic expected outcomes of the NAP 2020? So the basic outcomes of the NAP 2020 that is expected is that universalization of access from early childhood care education to secondary, ensure the equity and the inclusion, bringing back the 2 crores out of school children, which are the most important vision that we have, attain the sustainable development goals of retaining all children in schools until the completion of the secondary education, improve the quality and the achievement of the learning outcomes, fundamental literacy, focus on the 21st century skills in teaching, learning, and assessment, resource sharing, effective governance, separation of powers, overcoming the language barrier in the learning, and at last the common standards for public and the private school education. As like the other university, Maharaja Bir Vikram University also adopted in principle the National Education Policy 2020 to be introduced in the UG and the PG level from the next upcoming academic year 2022-23. As per the National Education Policy, the undergraduate and the postgraduate level subdivided into 4 stages with the exit option that is basically newly introduced, and the stages are certificate course of 1 year, diploma course of 2 years, degree course of the 3rd year, and the research at the 4th year of the total course program. The challenges that will face by the university to introduce the NAP 2020 is that syllabus you have to prepare according to the NAP 2020. Remember, considering the fact that there are certificate course, diploma course, degree course, and the research course is there. To deliver the curriculum of the NAP 2020, adequate number of the skilled teachers must be appointed before starting the course as per the NAP 2020. Third is to implement the NAP 2020, sufficient and adequate infrastructure with the proper IT facility is very much required for us. Sufficient manpower, that is teacher and the non-teaching staff ratio, to be maintained. Without this, it is almost impossible to introduce the NAP 2020 in the undergraduate and the postgraduate level. So this is a very brief discussion about the different perspectives and the challenges during the introduction of the NAP 2020. Now I'm moving to the next part of the presentation, and we'll discuss about some policies regarding the examination reforms. As I already told you that examination basically is always a boring subject, so I'm trying to make it more live. So we know that higher education sector in the India is going through its transformation stage because of the rapid demands of constant change put forth by the globalized economy. The current pace of accelerated growth of Indian economy, significantly accompanied by the surge in the growth of the certain sectors, primarily services, puts tremendous pressure on the need of the human resources to keep up the momentum and the pace of change and growth. The challenges then to the higher education system in the country is to create skilled resource of young population it has to unleash their potential to take on the button of change and growth. In turn, the government has a key role to play in aiding to give impetus to provide adequate and high quality education system. In the perspective, if I explain the current examination system in India, I found that in India, the higher education has no far been largely examination oriented. The examination pattern that currently exists in university structure, test memory learning, in most cases, the examination system is affiliating in nature with external final university conducted examination at the end of every semester or every year. This solely serves as a purpose of the assessment. This system more often than not insults students from the quest of knowledge, excitement of discovery, and joy of learning. Often the annual examination along with marks, percentage, and division leads to insensitive cramming up of superficial discrete information, thus with the very little focus on continuous assessment during the teaching learning process, it renders all emphasis on the final examinations oriented all teaching and teaching pedagogy towards preparing students to work towards getting better marks. In several instances, the university certified degree holders of undergraduate level, PG graduate level, and the PhD are subjected to another written examination before they are accepted for jobs in public or private sectors. The students enrolled under the higher education system are not coming out with the desired level of knowledge and the expertise that we want in the 20th century. The term and examination is usually based on the question paper, which tests only the memory, recall as a skill. The way a question paper is set reflects on the academic quality of the institution and its members. Thus, dependence on answering the term and examination-based question papers puts forward flaws of the single nature of assessment. The pattern and design of the question paper is decided by the board of the studies for each subject and is responsible to appoint paper setters and evaluators. Requirement of the question paper by the examination department of the university is a continuous process. Thus, there might be issue of compromise of quality of question papers set due to the constant requirement. The machinery of conduct of end-term examination exerts tremendous pressure on the affiliating universities due to large number of examiners. The question papers which are set have to be printed and sent to the various examination centers, which are all at distance, requiring huge logistic support so as to ensure that examinations are conducted simultaneously. The answer scripts of the students are to be transported to designated centralized assessment centers. The marks of each subject received from the designated evaluation centers have to be integrated into the mark sheet of each individual student, thereby requiring accuracy and its completion in limited time to facilitate timely declaration results. So this is the kind of examination system that we have in our traditional system. Now, in this context, basically, I just wish to mention a famous quote from the Albert Einstein. So why I choose Albert Einstein is that I'm a student of physics, so I must choose Albert Einstein in this respect. So he said that school failed me and I failed the school. It bored me. The teachers behaved like Fredwell. It wanted to learn what I wanted to know, but they wanted me to learn for the exam. What I hated most was the competitive system there, and especially sports. Because of this, I was not worth anything, and several times they suggested I leave. It indicates that the existing education system basically not been able to create the appropriate environment among the students, and the students basically become bored about the education system. Now, if I go in respect of the international scenario, we see that in United Kingdom, there is a quality assurance review identifies student assessment considered to be the key area of the concern, while reports from the Arab states inequality audit of 13 universities describe that assessment continues to be weakness, particularly in the three respects. First, too much emphasis is placed on the memory recall of the descriptive knowledge. Second, not enough is done to the test higher level cognitive skills. Third, there is virtually no moderation, either internal or external, to ensure the fairness and transparency of marking system. Marks and the grades are increasingly seen by students as commodities with the purchase price and spending power. University students know that an investment of fees will generate a lifetime return. Across 25 organizations for economic cooperation and development countries and the partner economy, Israel, individuals with the university degrees and advanced research education had earnings that were at least 50% higher than individuals whose highest level of educational attainment was below the upper secondary level. In Western countries, most of the universities and institutions of higher education are assessing the students only on internal evaluation methods, following the principle, those who teach should evaluate. The system followed by the Western countries has been accepted by the whole world, and the students coming out of these countries are valued higher than the degree holders of the Indian universities. Now, in the view of that, how you just justify the evaluation reforms? In India, examination play the pivotal role and are the deciding factor of the career choice of the students. Ability to pursue the right higher qualifications and determine the degree of the knowledge possessed. The global competitive forces and the wave of disruption in industry have brought into sweeping changes in both in terms of the skill requirement as the decision-making capabilities of human resource, thereby exerting tremendous pressure on the perform in the complex situations. However, assessment of students currently existing in the university system is matter of concern. Committees that have been set up for the past for the improvement in the examination system have recommended changes in the examination system. The same pattern exists in terms of the final examination as a standard or decider or fate of millions of students, thereby rendering the changes suggested to have little or minimal impact. The end-term examination in many cases are of 3 hours each, and which are the sole tool of decide the future career of the students. Current examination system tests memory learning skills, demands from profession required students not just to possess information, but an individual application of every situation, either routine or complex. This necessitates pressure on students to perform the best in their capabilities. Memory learning may be required, but not adequate to perform in the challenging environment that currently prevails. There is a need to assess the application skills and the skills of the higher ability like analysis, creation, evaluation, etc. Standardization of the assessment has to be flawed as every student differs in terms of intellect and ability, and as such, one tool of measurement is akin to one size fits all, which fails to identify genuine ability and the potential of the students. Examination is the current form or moments of the stress and anxiety of the students, both pre-examination as well as the post-examination. Coupled to this issue, male practices which have impact on their credibility. Reforms thus are much needed to ensure credibility and the outcome of the assessment system. There is a need to have more horizontal assessment modes rather than one single vertical mode that decides the fate of the students. Reforms in examination for all forms of the education, that is formal phase to phase mode, open and distance learning mode, etc., should thus aim all overall development of the students in terms of their critical thinking, problem solving ability, right application of knowledge, and maintain the ethics that we required now. Now, this single picture basically illustrates the total education system in our country. So, in short, this picture really demonstrates our education system that for a fair selection, everybody should passes through the same exam. If you judge a fish by its ability to climb the tree, it is totally becomes unmeaningful then. Now, for upgradation of the education system, there are several policies already been proposed regarding the framework and the outcome-based education policy and assessment. I am trying to briefly identify some of the policies and its different elements. A comprehensive higher education policy has been developed by respected Professor Sarangi Sahib, Chairman Advisory Committee on Education, Dalbagh Education Institute, in the form of the Imperative Structural Model ISM of higher education system. It identifies 93 elements that cover 4 subsystems in the form of a hierarchical structure with the constituent leading to the policy elements from a basis for the development of a framework for outcome-based education and assessment. The mission objective is at the top of the structure, which is a well-rounded person, and then there are 4 subsystems, namely aims and objectives, educational curriculum features, organizational policy support, and governance policy support. These are the 4 subsystems that we have. The first one, the aims and objectives, is unchallengeable. Integration of all aims and objectives finally leads to the objective of developing well-rounded, and it's important to frame the aims and objectives for a particular course. The second subsystem, namely education and the curricular features, which is less subject to change, consists of subsystems such as intellectual activity, social activity, etc. The third subsystem is the organization policy support, may be subject to greater variation. There are policies for organizing student participation in co-curricular and extracurricular activities and the remedial teaching. Emphasis is going on to the learning through seminars, paper reading, group discussion, etc. Subsystem, governance policy support, where system and procedures are to be implemented at higher education institution to meet outcome expected and effectively and efficiently. To understand the aims and objectives briefly, there are 30 elements of the aims and objectives can be considered under 4 aspects as follows. So the first object is academic objectives, consisting of intellectual strength, general knowledge, scientific temper, and etc., etc., as you can see on the slide. Next one is the moral and the spiritual values, consisting of emotional maturity, ethical values, simple living, and etc. And then we have the social sensibilities and the quality. These are the total 30 elements of the aims and objectives can be considered under these 4 aspects. Now, this is another model of the education system of the learning outcome-based education, that is the LOBE model, put forward by the Spades in 1988, emphasizes on the importance of program learning outcomes. Shortly, it is considered to be PLO. And that serves as a critical factor to design the curricula and steer direction of all levels of outcome, that is course outcomes, unit outcomes, and lesson outcomes. Learning outcomes-based education approach helps to focus on utilization of appropriate instruction and pedagogy and helps to organize teaching and learning processes around the career advancement and placement of the students. Helps in selection and design of appropriate assessment modes, and that programs are awarded based on the demonstrated achievement of outcomes. The core philosophy of learning outcomes-based education rests in adhering the student-centric learning approach used to measure student performance based on the predetermined set of outcomes. Among others, of significant advantage of learning outcomes based education is the bringing out reforms in curriculum framework that has to be outcome based, constant upgradation of academic resources, raising quality and research and teaching integration and teaching learning progresses, bringing out the clarity among the students as to what is expected from them after the completion of the program, and for the teachers of the bringing focus on what to teach and how to teach and evaluate. Learning outcome-based education advocates the importance of establishing clear picture of what is important for the students to be able to do, organizing the curriculum institution and assessment to make sure that learning ultimately happens. Important action points under the LOBE approach includes define exit outcomes through active participation of all stakeholder groups, define performance and standards of provide regular reports on actual student learning levels for key outcome areas, redesign of future focused curriculum with a problem and reissued content focus and continuous development of student abilities along with the major competence dimensions. Develop high engagement and high activity classrooms staffed by the variety of internal and external experts with continuous emphasis on multimodality active learning by individuals and learning teams. Encourage learning by performing in authentic and real world setting and promote extensive use of high technology tools and applications. Now, in this slide, basically, it is a learning performance pyramid described by an iterative model where the organizational character goals derive the organizational objectives and objectives rather lead to the organizational outcomes. So here basically you can see in the iterative model how it is be assigned. Now, in the first step of the developing the program education outcome, that is PEO, is the develop the clear program education objectives. Program education objectives depend on the goals, mission, and the vision statement of the institution, organization, along with the inputs from its stakeholders like parents, students, society, environment, regional, and national interests. So if you see this slide very clearly, if you see that the inputs are coming from the environment, students, institutional goals, national interest, parents, institutions, and every stakeholders basically included here who provides the inputs of the program educational objectives. Now, to encourage the facilitate the adoption of the LOBE model across the disciplines, a list of generic program education objectives has been identified from the higher education policy. Following factors are to be considered while framing the PEOs. Why PEO should be consistent with the mission of the institution. All the stakeholders should be participating in the process of the framing of the PEOs. The number of the PEOs should be manageable. Sorry. It should be based on the needs of the stakeholders. It should be achievable by the program. It should be specific to the program or not too broad. It should be too narrow. It should not be too narrow and similar to the PEOs. So these are the two important framework models for the development of the education policy. Now, in the next slide, basically, I am discussing about some important topics relating with the framework of the examination system. The first is the curriculum design and the course development and course learning outcomes. Shortly, it is known as CLOs. Keeping in view the program learning outcomes, a curriculum must be and courses developed. The curriculum must be linked to the program objectives and the outcomes, and further the course level assessment strategies must be linked to identify program level assessment strategies. These are the outcomes, knowledge which every student is expected to gain at the end of the completion of his course. These are based on the course curricula is finalized. Course learning outcomes are narrower statements that describe what students are expected to know and be able to do at the end of each course. Course learning outcomes should be reflect at what level of knowledge student gained, skill acquired, and the attributes developed upon successful completion of the course. CLOs must be measurable, attainable, and the manageable in number that I already told in my previous slide. Now, next is the assessment management plan and the timelining assessment. In the assessment management plan, should be prepared in detail the assessment strategy, both in the program and the course levels. In the assessment plan, it is important to identify the type of assessment for each course and the timelines. Assessment must be continuous to include the both formative and the summative components in a timely fashion for continuous feedback. Program learning outcomes need to be developed with a broad perspective. Achievement of the learning outcomes does not solely depend upon a single type of assessment at the end of the term. It is an integration of strong learning culture, identification of the competencies, appropriate teaching pedagogy, design of the holistic learning experiences, and the choice of the assessment in the form of continuous internal evaluation that is formative in nature. The goal of learning of achievement in the program and the curriculum goals is not just focusing on the syllabus completion. The program curriculum goals is expected to be achievement of competencies must be clearly understood and explained by teachers to the learners. Based on the program curriculum and course goals, teachers should design appropriate teaching pedagogy, providing learning material and resources or links to such resources, and choose right assessment type appropriate to each course. Now, in this part, basically, I'm discussing about the assessment types, as I already described it in my previous slide. So, student understanding must be built on the assessed or the wide range of learning activities, which should include different approaches, which are classified along several bases, such as based on purpose. Assessment type includes summative, formative, both type, and formal test and administered during the learning process. Based on the nature of the data, it is basically maybe quantitative evaluation is mainly concerned with scholastic achievement in subject-based performance, whereas qualitative is chiefly about the evaluating the non-scholastic and probably more important aspects of the student personality involving social, emotional, and attitudinal and moral ethical assessment. Now, next is the based on the domain. Assessment types include scholastic achievement, non-scholastic achievement, as well as it includes the students' behavior, values, attitude, emotional stability during the curricular activities, and other structure and non-structure situation inside and outside the classroom. Last one is the based on the measuring standard, depending on the criterion referenced, generate a statement about the behavior that can be expected of a person with a score. Non-referenced, that is standardized, where test takers perform better or not than a hypothetical average student. Self-reference evaluation is compared with their own earlier performance to identify improvements, if any. So each assessment type basically has a distinct utility, advantages, and limitations. A suitable compendium in such types needs to be carefully chosen for a particular program depending on its nature, objective, and the availability of the sources. Here I am showing different types of assessment used in the education system for evaluation of a student. If you see this slide, in the written mode, we have the exam, class test, open book exams, self-test, quizzes, home assessment, and book review, article review, and so many there in the form of the written mode. In the oral mode, you can take viva, oral exam, group discussion, role play, authentic problem solving, then what summarized question, and etc. etc. In the practical mode, you can take lab work, computer simulations, co-curriculars, and work experience, And in the integrated mode, you can take paper presentation, seminars, SWOT analysis, authentic problem solving, field assessment, poster presentation, and etc. etc. So these are the different types of the assessment that already been used in different education system. Now, if I go for the different type of the different type of assessment type, describing the nature, advantage, limitation, and the frequency of the uses of different commonly used assessment type. First, the traditional written examination. So if you see that the nature of the written examination is traditionally essay type, time constraint, and external exams. The advantage of this kind of exam is that it is relatively economical, no chance of the plagiarism, familiarity with the students and staff, fixed data forces and the students to learn, chances for in-depth and planned preparation, provides overview of attainment in the entire course. The limitation is that it is the test memory most of the times more than higher level thinking, no feedback to student as the course is over by exam time, can encourage surface learning, sampling of the content is not compressive, elements of the chance of halo effect, the level to long answer just mark can change the expectation of the next answer. Next assessment type is class tests. So again, it is traditionally essay type, time constant, it is internal exam. Advantage is that it is also a economical, less chance of the plagiarism, familiarly with the students and the staff, fixed date forces to students to learn, chance in depth and the planned preparation. The limitation is that test memory more than the higher level thinking, delayed feedback to student as correction needs time, can encourage surface learning, sampling of the content not comprehensive, elements to chance halo effect. Next is the self-test. It is either in the online or maybe in the conventional written mode. This is all types of related to subjective and the objective based. It must be in flexible timing, self and automated checking may be used, no bias of the subjectivity, no fear of ridicule, masterly learning occurs, a proper feedback and follow-up is embedded. It is the limitation is that it is less motivated student may help off to it unless mandatory. Now, I'm discussing about a very important thing is to how the process of the assessment rubrics. Now, what is basically a rubric? A rubric basically for the assessment is called the scoring guide. How you can, as a teacher, how you give a mark to the student. So it is a tool basically used to interpret and the grade student on any kind of work against the criteria and the standards. An assessment rubric provides the means of the increase the objectivity in the assessment and reduce the subjectivity, represents a clear expectation on the assessment and relates it to the learning outcomes, ensures consistency, transparency, and fairness of the marking process across the course, instructors for the same assessment type, efficiency grades of marks, many assessments for the large group of students, defines clear guidelines for the moderation and provides more objective data for analytics. For example, I am presenting here a seminar presentation rubric with criteria of awarding marks that can be easily formulated by any faculty for fair evaluation. Now, the criteria, if you see in this slide, is that for the content, you may given marks 5 if the material presented was complete, precise, and well supported by the facts and the figures. The material is presented if it is partially complete and was off topic at some places. And you give 1 mark if the material presented was incomplete and largely off topic. Now, in the second criteria, you have the knowledge and the understanding. Here also, basically, you can give 5 marks, 3 marks, or 1 marks based on the fact that seminar demonstrated through the knowledge and the applicability of the facts, terms, and concepts. You can give 5 marks. Seminar demonstrated moderate knowledge and the applicability of the facts, terms, and the concept. You can give 3 marks. Seminar demonstrated limited knowledge with the applicability of the facts and the terms and the question. You can give 1 marks. At the last, again a part is it is the discussion part. Here also you can give 5, 3, or 1 marks according to the criteria that has been given in the slide. Now, what are the types of the assessment rubric that we have in the education system? There are several types of assessment rubric that we have. First one is the holistic rubric. Assume that work must be evaluated as a whole rather being treated as a sum total of different criteria. The focus is on the overall assessment of the specific content or skills. Only one score is given for the entire work of the task. It is generally useful for the simple task. For instance, a short essay may be graded by considering all of the criteria together. Next one is the analytic rubric, features to grade the criteria and levels of the achievement. They provide specific feedback among the several criteria. It is suited for the task that must be assessed against the several criteria. Now, anyone can design basically a rubric by its own choice, by the formulation given. So I am giving some steps that can be followed while developing a rubric. You have to identify the learning outcomes for the assessment. Decide on the criteria-based learning outcomes, that is the characteristic on which the judge the student performance. Select the levels of the performance, that is an appropriate scoring method must be chosen depending on the nature of the assessment and the chosen scale. Write descriptors, that is describe the expected achievement of each characteristic for each level of the performance. The description should be specific, clear, and consistent. The rubric should be tested on a sample of the student assessment before implementation. Another important aspects of the continuous evaluation is the configure the process of the internal assessment. This is the most important part now in becoming in the NAP 2020. In order to assess the skills, values, and the knowledge gained by the student, the concerned faculty member has to conduct the internal assessment. The internal assessment may comprise of the following. All the undergraduate, postgraduate, MPhil, PhD programs offered by the university are to have specified components for internal evaluation. For example, essays, tutorials, home assignments, seminars, presentations, laboratory work, etc., etc., etc. The schedule and the pattern of the continuous assessment and the evaluation should be decided by the concerned institution in advance and publicized to all students and the faculty through the institution regulations and the student information brochure. The components of the internal assessment and evaluation are to have time frame and the completion of the students with concurrent and continuous evaluation of the faculty members. Following the principle, these who teach should evaluate the continuous internal assessment evaluation have to be conducted by the teacher, and the evaluation outcome should be expressed by the predetermined marks or by grades. In that case, basically, you can use the rubrics process. In order to ensure the transparency and fair play and the accountability, the evaluation report submitted by all the faculty members are to be reviewed to time by a committee of the institution constituted by the appropriate authority. The outcome of their internal evaluation reviewed by the committee is to be announced and displayed on the notice board as per the time frame of the academic calendar. The proportion of the internal evaluation to the external evaluation should be specified for UG as proposed is 30-70, and for the PG it is 40-60. That means internal exam pattern is increases in the postgraduate level. The proportion be low to start with. It can be raised progressively in phased manner to 50% depending on the outcome of the experience. Through this may be accepted in principle, putting it into the practice needs issue to be addressed and widened out. Next is the credit system and the graded system as per the traditional education system. The UGC issued the guidelines to all universities in 2015 for implementation of the choice-based credit system with the view to offer students choice of courses within a program with a flexibility to complete the program by earning credits at a phase decided by the students themselves. The system allows students to choose interdisciplinary, intradisciplinary courses according to their learning needs, interest, and aptitude. It was considered as a criteria approach and was expected to provide mobility to the students. Most institutions follow the absolute grading system, which is a simple procedure wherein the marks obtained by the student correspond to a specific grade and grade point. It reflects the individual performance in a particular subject without any reference to the group or class. The absolute grading system has limitations and may be susceptible to some inconsistencies. The relative grading system, on the other hand, provides relative performance of a student to a group or class wherein the student is ranked in a group class on basis of the relative level of achievement. Now, this is the another important, you can say, perspective of the NAP 2020 is the credit transfer policy. Felicitation of the credit transfer is a must support and the continuation of the learning and should enable the student to gain qualification in minimal time, provided they meet all minimum standards and requirements. Credit transfer should also facilitate the mobility of the student among the institutions. The coursework has been completed at the UGC approved and accredited university through full-time formal learning mode. The university accreditation grade ranking is not lower than that of the university to which the transfer is sought. The courses prescribed to the common minimum syllabus under UGC CBCS system. The letter grade obtained in the courses minimum is B or better than that. The number of the credits is to be transferred does not exceed the prescribed limit of any particular course. The program in question must have a similar credit system, in particular modular or semester or the same numeric or the letter grading system along with the common meaning of the term credit in numerical terms. Now, I am talking about the importance of the preparing the question bank. This is a very important part of the examination system. Teaching and the evaluation complement each other. Hence, changes are not only required of the evaluation aspect. Rather, changes need to be reflected both in teaching and evaluation. Question banks, thus, is an attempt to integrate both the teaching and the evaluation. Preparation of the question banks makes use of accumulated experience of teachers, which renders effective examining of the students. What are the important considerations while considering the question bank? The question bank system should be taken into consideration of the following: that the questions are drawn from each unit of the syllabus, that the question drawn meet the program objectives and the outcomes of the courses. The question should be spanned at difficulty level and each question be marked with the difficulty level. Should include questions of every type as per the section, such as long answer, short answer, very short answer questions must be specify the expected length and suggested time for completion. Objective items must be include recognition type and supply type of items. The probability of making blind guesses should be reduced. Answer key should be provided. Each question may be appended with suitable codes to indicate the learning outcomes mapped to the topic of the syllabus that it examines the difficulty level and the discrimination ability. Next part is the moderation. Moderation is a very important for the maintain the fairness of the evaluation system. So moderation and assessment basically is an organized procedure which ensures the use of the valid assessment material and consistent application of the criteria. To provide fair academic judgment and reliable outcome of the form of the marks and the grades, it assures appropriate designing and implementation of the assessment activities, along with the generation of the valid and reliable results. Integration of the moderation process with assessment system is imperative for the development of the academic quality in higher education institutions, as it addresses any difference in individual judgments of difficulty evaluators. It ensures that all achievements in the form of the marks and grades across courses reflects the achievement of same level of standard. It also carried out the development of common understanding of the standards and criteria and to recognize performance, which demonstrate that standard or fulfills that criteria. Now, what is the technological inventors in the perspective of the COVID-19 pandemic situation that already we faced from 2019 to till now in 2022? With the proliferation of the different types of access devices, especially mobile access devices, technology had the potential to augment the traditional classroom practices and revolutionize the learning and the evaluation methods. Technology, in fact, can be an important driver to enable lifelong learning. Learning and engagement of the student is facilitated to use the technology through several modes of synchronized learning, semi-synchronous learning, blended learning, collaborative learning. Now you are also known about SWAM, MOOCs, all form is now available in the case of the learning process. Learning management system are used in the institutions to integrate the entire teaching, learning, and evaluation process. The learning management system may be used for the higher education institution to deliver academic content in blended form and to access the learning through thesis, assignment, etc. Now, this is a very new concept in the NAP 2020 is the on-demand examination. On-demand examination is a very new concept that may be introduced in the higher education to maintain the flexibility in the examination system. On-demand examination may provide the flexibility to the students, especially those enrolled under the open and the distant education mode. This system works on the principle of the flexibility where the assessment can be take place where the learner consider themselves ready to appear. Thus, readiness depends on the learner, not on the institutions. An advantage of this system may result to reduce the number of the failures in the examination, reduce the malpractices in the examination, etc. To facilitate this system on-demand examination, a large question bank needs to be developed to generate the different sets of the question papers with the same level of the difficulty. The question bank may contain various types of questions such as multiple choice questions, short questions, long questions, so as to test skill, knowledge, and application. And now at the last part is the exam is the result declaration. This is the ultimate thing that we have. Declaration of the result is a crucial element, as you know that, of the educational system of the higher educational institute on which the rest its credibility and reputation. In order to strengthen the process of the result declaration, it is important to incorporate the following features. What are that? Timeliness and the declaration of the result, clarity in the interpretation of the result card, comprehensive format of the result, accessibility and the verifiability of the result. Now, with which I would like to close my discussion regarding the examination reforms, but to understand the real picture in terms of the society perspective of the exam reports that can be easily understood by the following quote of E.M. Froster, that as long as the learning is concerned, is connected with the earning, as long as the certain jobs can only be reached through the exams, so long must we take the examination system seriously. If another ladder of employment was contrived, much so-called education would disappear and no one would be a penny the stupidity. So thanks to all to for their patience. Thank you very much.
Okay, so maybe sir's question session can start. Dr. Roy?
Yes, surely.
Okay, so please, you can start continuing your question session. So start it, please.
Sir, what would be the pattern of questions in NEP style?
Actually, the model of the NAP yet not been introduced. So, in national level, now it is under discussion. Okay, probably it is as like as the traditional examination system, consisting of broad type, essay type, all these things. The whole authority should may be given to the university level, so they can decide what type of model they can take. Then after, as per discussion from the government, we found that central government also developed some kind of structure, question structure and the course structure regarding all courses, so that they can introduce it in the NAP 2020 in this model, so that every university should follow those kind of same structure in the national level. If it happens, I think it will be better for every university.
Sir, as we are in the process of implementing NEP, should we get approved our this question paper or examination system from somebody?
Please repeat your question.
We are in process of implementing NEP, and should we approve our examination pattern from some body?
No. That is basically under, as I told you, that it is under decision. It is not decided till now. So some such kind of notification must come from the UGC if they want to change or reforms in the question patterns. Meanwhile, the same system will follow. I think so.
Yeah. Should we wait for NEP implementation, or should we go ahead with it?
No, I think in all states, basically, NAP will implement it from the 2022, right? The only difference from the 22-23 session, that is from the upcoming session, NAP is automatically implemented in all the states as per discussion in the government level. Okay, so NAP will definitely introduce in all states. That is for sure. Now the thing is that NAP have a simple difference with the traditional system is that in the traditional system, basically you are not having any exit option during the course. But in the NAP model, basically, students have the flexibility to exit after every 2 semesters. That means if he completed first year, then he would get certificate course. Then if he completed 2 years, he got diploma level.
Finally, I want to interrupt. This certificate course will be having a heading that he is having certificate of basic science.
Basic science.
What would be the name of the certificate of after first year?
Certificate from the basic science, maybe it may be from the arts background. So whatever course they have taken in the UG level, accordingly certificate will be produced. After completing the bachelor course, we are getting the certificate like bachelor in arts, bachelor in science, bachelor in commerce. So in the NAP model, basically they are getting some certificate like certificate in arts, certificate in science, certificate in commerce, like that.
Sir, like we are
certificates that they completed 1 year. Diploma indicates they are completing 2 years.
Okay.
Like
Sir, like we are having a university, I am in university. We have developed a curriculum in of first year BTech, second year, third year, and final year.
Okay.
Should this curriculum be approved from somebody?
Till now, there is no instruction. Till now, till today, there is not such instruction from the UG or the central government. Okay. Only thing we know that they are preparing some structure for every courses.
Like Karnataka has implemented NEP.
Karnataka implemented, I think,
We have
Tamil
taken
Nadu in the
reference.
process of the
Yeah,
implementation.
yeah. Karnataka has implemented. We have taken reference from their colleges,
Okay.
but we are not able to get that who will recognize, who will authorize that this syllabus or this curriculum is good for NEP to go.
Actually, that I also don't know, because I don't have that kind of any kind of notice or notice.
Should we approach Karnataka colleges or some university vice chancellor or proper body who can check this this curriculum is okay?
You are from a college, right?
Actually, I am from a university.
Okay, so only the university basically approve your course structure.
So we have to send to another university?
No. You have to send your own university in which you are affiliated under. Okay, you must affiliated under some university now. So you have to send your course for the approval in the NEP model to your university. Then university will prepare a committee in this regard to approve. Then after approving, they will send the syllabus to your college.
Sir, like I have an NEP model and there is NEP model in Karnataka. Will it be different or will it be same?
Same.
So basically, if what happens in university, I have seen this.
As I told you that basically central government is now trying to basically make a single curricula for all the courses. Single means if you consider the BTech, the course curriculum of the BTech will be same nationally. So they are preparing something like that. So it is under preparation condition. Hopefully, you will get within 1 or 2 months. You are getting such information.
Like we have some one course technical MBA. So it means there will be some technical subjects in our
Definitely, because basically the whole India is subdivided. Whole educational system is subdivided into six zone or 7 zones. So every zone basically already submitted their reports on the NEP 2020 for the implementation, and directly the UGC is working on it. Hopefully, they will issue circular on this matter, that what should be the curricular and on the NEP, what the changes are in the curricula in the NEP 2022, very in recent time. I think within now it is May, within June they have issued such circular. Because from our side, because we are in the zone 5, I think, in the northeast region, so we also submitted the same prospectus in respect of the NEP. So they consider all these things and then they are circulating this one.
So there's one issue. If somebody leaves after first year and we gave them a certificate of basic science, he goes for a job, and if somebody says that we don't recognize, then what will be the future of university?
No. That's why the question arises for that reason also, because every zone basically, as I told you, that every zone basically question about the same question that you asked, that if this kind of certificate, diploma, or whatever it may be, it is not recognized in the national level. So how a student be employable after completing his course? Okay. Yeah. So in that respect, UGC basically also instruct the employable institution so that it should be recognizable. So every course should be recognizable in respect of their employability. It should be, because these are the 4 or 5 questions raised by every zone. So this is one question, one of the question of that you asked, that if I'm giving a certificate course for a student, if the student not get employable with this certificate, then what happens? Who will recognize this certificate course? So hopefully, as I told you, that within 1 or 2 months, you are getting all your answers in this regard.
Should we wait for implementing NEP or should we start implementing it?
No, one thing is that you preparing your syllabus structure, course structure as the NEP proposed, but wait for 1 or 2 months for the circulars, because there are lots of changes, lots of things to come. I think that will be done, because we are doing the same thing. We prepared everything, but still we are waiting for the circular.
Like in previous years, it's private university. We used to make a syllabus and send to IIT and got approved from those professors. So I think on that line,
That
it
you
can
can
be done
do.
or not.
From your side, you can complete your everything. Now you have to fit your syllabus according to the NEP structure. You can prepare, you can check by your syllabus with the IIT professor and everything you can do, but you have to wait for that, so that you can, when the circular will come, you can fit your syllabus as per the NEP.
And what do you think about
Only
should
give
we
you
take?
the course structure. He will not give you the syllabus, right? NEP basically give you only the structure. How many papers should be there in the first semester? How many papers should be in the second semester? Like that. He will not give you the syllabus. Syllabus you have to prepare.
Sir, so many subjects in pools and so many electives. So how will it be possible to hold so much exams in a semester?
No, NAP does not tell you that this is the constant way. It is not like that. It constant you up to 50% or 60%. 40% basically under the control of the university. So you can change, you can modify your model like that.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I have a question. It was quite informative and insightful. One of your slides, you showed a cartoon in which you showed everyone a genius. And I think NEP 2020 also aligns with that idea, which recognizes that every person has a unique potential. So, but I think it's a significant improvement considering the previous documents like National Curriculum Framework 2005, which says that talented students are in minority when they talk about mathematics curriculum. So I think this is a significant improvement. And you also say in one of the slides talks about the standardization of assessments, one size fits all, and it has flaws. So my question is, sir, how can we imagine a question paper of any discipline, for example, mathematics? What sort of questions should we have which can assess that unique potential of each and every student? Can you describe it with an example?
It is a very good question. Actually, see, I am there as a assistant professor in the NIT for the 4 years. Then after I joined as a administrator. So in that perspective, I can say that first you have to understand your students. Okay, what kind of efficiency they have, what kind of deficiency they have. That you have to identify very clearly. Then after that means the thing is that what I show is that as a teacher, basically, you must have a table type of thing. I try to understand that basically you have to chalk your whole problem. That what should be the problem you have to give to your students. Okay, what amount of difficulty level that you can set in question level. See, if you can set a question with huge difficulty level, no one student can attempt that one. So what is the purpose what is of that purpose. So you have to understand your student first, and then basically you set your assessment. But the problem is that in the university level or in the assessment system is that, see, one course is taught in, say, 22 colleges. Okay. Now, in 22 colleges, 22 teachers basically taught a particular subjects. Okay. And they teach up to a certain difficulty level. Now, how you evaluate this total amount of students with the same frame? For that, you require, as a moderation, it is the responsibility of the university to set a moderation assessment of the whole system. Then only your assessment becomes fairly. Otherwise, it never be fairly, because some students may get less marks, may get higher marks. So that is the responsibility of the university to set the assessment type of things that I showed in my slides.
Sir, you mentioned horizontal assessment mode rather than like we should follow. So is it something related to that? Can you like say more on that? Is it related something to that horizontal assessment versus vertical assessment mode?
Yes, I showed that one, that actually in education system, horizontal assessment system means one by one, and vertical means one after one. So basically in the education system now, as you can understand, that main basically stress will be given in the internal exam only. If you see the whole slides, and in all meetings basically that we find in the central and the state government level, that they are only mainly stress giving on the internal assessment. That means they need more engagement of the students with the teachers, because in the recent years, if we find that basically we see that the students basically are not that much attainable in the class because of the COVID-19 situation. Almost 2 years they are at the home. After that, when the offline classes are started, most of the students are not that much attend the classes regularly in the offline mode. So how you can recollect those students in the class? That is the crying questions. I think, I don't know from which state you are from. From which state you are from?
Sir, I'm not a faculty member. I'm a research scholar at a university in the USA.
Okay,
I research on teaching methods of college teachers.
So you are from which state?
Sir, I'm from Haryana.
Haryana. So I don't know what situation in the Haryana, but in our state, basically, it is a major concern that the attendance of the students are very less after the starting of the offline mode classes, after the 2 years of gap in the COVID-19 pandemic situation.
Thank you, sir. That is helpful.
Sir, good evening, sir. I have one question, sir. The question is that what we can do for the courses that we are opening as a certificate course in order to get points in NAC accreditation. Because we don't have any type of, one can say, guidelines how to prepare the certificate courses. Do any guidelines are there in the NEP 2020 policies?
No,
Kindly explain.
NAP model only give you now, only thing is that you have to introduce the certificate and all these courses. But guideline basically is under preparation. As far we know about this discussion in the different meetings of the central government and the state government model. So as I told you, told earlier, is that you have to wait for 1 or 2 months. Every sort of circulars will come within 1 or 2 months regarding the NEP, because the admission process will start in the month of the July or August. So before that, I think all the circulars regarding the NEP will come.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
Sir, how can
Please,
we develop?
anyone, any question?
Yeah, sir, how can we
Okay.
develop academic bank credit?
Repeat, please, your question.
How can we develop academic bank credit?
How can you?
Develop academic bank credit.
Okay, that is ABC.
Yeah.
It is almost like a credit transfer process. It is newly introduced. In the last meeting, UGC basically is very much stressed on the ABC model. And in that meeting, basically, there is a vice chancellor meeting conducted in Nagpur in 4 or 5 days ago. In that
Okay.
meeting, it is decided that basically for the introduction of the ABC, it is very much required to frame that I told you earlier, that a single structure in national level. Every college or every university will follow that particular structure. Only then ABC will be applicable or can be introduced. So hopefully a national level structure will come. Then after, it is almost like a credit transfer. That means students have the flexibility to take any courses from outside of other university, and that will be transferred to its mother university.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir.
For that, the credit should be same. Number of credits should be same. That's why a common structure is required. That should be implemented from the UGC. I think within a few months.
Sir, yeah. So thank you, sir. It's a kind request if you can share your number in chat box.
Yeah, sure. I will.
Yeah, because we are struggling in implementing NEP.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Or you can contact through me in my email also. I have already put my email address.
It's easy to call, sir.
Yeah, sure. Any more questions?
Anyone, please, any question? Yeah, I think it's done. Dr. Rakesh, I think it's done. And really, it's very
clear, sir. Thank you very much. Such a
Yeah.
wonderful, informative session, sir.
Yeah, it's really nice. And thank you, Dr. I. Thank you very much. And I hope if there is any question, they can ask later on also.
Yes. I
Yeah,
have already provided my email address.
Yeah. You just provide, and if anyone wants, they will ask you the question.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think someone has some question. Ankita Yadav.
Excuse me, sir.
Oh, okay. Ask. Please continue, madam.
Yes, madam.
No, madam, please. Nothing is. Please check your microphone, madam. No, we cannot heard anything, madam. Then Ankita Yadav, please. Ankita Yadav. Hello. No, I think it's done, I think.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you very much for this wonderful session.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. I asked you to share PPTs of yesterday's session. I think you forget for that.
No, actually, okay. I will ask yesterday. He didn't give me the PPT. Once he provide me, I will provide you all of this in
Please
the
share
mail.
today's sessions also.
This session also you need. Okay.
Please share PPTs of today's sessions also.
Okay, madam. I'll ask everyone to share their PPT and then I will send it everyone by email. Is it okay?
Okay, madam. I shall share my PPT with you. No problem.
I'll definitely provide all of you in your email address. Okay, thank you. So maybe we can end this session here today, and tomorrow is our last session. So please, everyone comes and join tomorrow. And after that, we will have a feedback session and one questionnaire session. That's a simple feedback, simple questions, just the formalities. And after that, maybe I'll take from next week, you will get your certificate. Don't worry. No need to ask every time when I will get your certificate. Depending on your attendance, depending on your what is called feedback form, I will provide you the certificate. And also there will be questionnaires. So everyone will get your certificate maybe within next week. Next week probably. Okay. So thank you. So we can end this session here. Thank you everyone.